Hi folks, it's Rich here, novice noisemaker, back in the Puma sponsored top. Bit chilly today, got cold hand. And so somebody asked me about my ST collection, Strats, ST types. Now, if you can bear with me, if you're interested, come along for the ride. This is going to take a while because I've had 86 ST style guitars, either Strats themselves or Super Strats or the like. And I've done my best to list them in order of how I liked them, and it's difficult because gets a bit blurry with some of them. Like, yeah, was that better than this, and did I like it more for whatever reason? But I've listed them, and I'm going to really quickly talk through them with you. This is how that list looks. If you want to know anything about any of these guitars, please drop me a message and I'll tell you. Right, here we go, speed talking as fast as we can. Number one, really difficult, but I think it was my Fender Strat Lone Star. It's a Mexican made guitar from about 7 years ago. I recently put a little video of me trying to play it when I was really starting out. S1 switch, Texas special pickups, a little bit of gloss on the back of the neck, not too much, nice rosewood fretboard, unusual colour, not traditional but different, hence limited edition. Haven't seen one for sale since, by the way. Absolutely lovely guitar. Wish I had it now, I'd appreciate it a lot more. Number two, my Squire Classic Vibe 70s FSR. So Squire right towards the top of the tree. That is a buttercream. It's like a custardy coloured one. You saw me play that quite a lot. Had it for a while, sold it, bought another one, wasn't the same. Anyway, just sounded like a Strat, felt like a Strat. Just a lovely looking guitar. Fender Player HSH. Didn't have this for all that long. Buttercream as well. I like vintage white and buttercream and white kind of guitars. HSH sounded great, set up lovely. All the players I've had brand new have been set up really well, and that was no exception. I just wasn't crazy about the Pal Faro fretboard on it. It's not my favourite colour, not necessarily feel, but colour. But nonetheless, just a good, versatile, solid guitar. Too expensive, aren't they now? Fender Players, 650 quid for, you know, it's a good solid guitar, but it's not special, really, compared to lots of things you can get these days. Anyway, we move on. My Fender Player SSS. So the same, really, but that had, what fretboard did that have on that one? Indian Laurel, probably. Can't think now, maybe that's Pal Faro. But it's just a nice guitar. And up there as well, I've had a standard Strat from a few years ago, which was which has a rosewood fretboard, Olympic white. Just a good solid guitar, and they are proper Strats, aren't they? Then underneath that, the Chapman Captain, which I've recently sold to Tom. Hey Tom, and lovely in every way. The pickups on it, good, just in between positions, just couldn't quite sound stratty enough. I know it's not really a Strat, but it's fair enough for me. And lovely dark fretboard. And although I can play the guitar without fretboard markers, as you've heard, it's definitely easier with, and that hasn't got them. Or easier for me anyway. After underneath that, the standard Chapman SSS, which I don't make anymore, which is a shame. Well built guitar, some nice sort of modern appointments and features, reasonable pickups, that's probably the weakest point, but just a lovely guitar. Ibanez SA 560, excuse me, HSS, Burl top, more abalone on there. It's absolute bling city, that thing. Ebony fretboard, Damasio pickups, lock-in tuners, 2-point trem, absolute stunner of a guitar. That not obviously quite skinny and light, and the neck on it not as skinny as some Ibanez, but beautiful. Looking at one on eBay now as a maybe. Don't make them anymore, I don't know why. Gorgeous guitar. Then vintage V6 Thomas Blug. How weird's that? Apart from the yellowy green pickguard, and it's a relic, so it's not for everyone. Pickups on that sounded good, and the 7.5-inch radius fretboard, the one I had was really dark rosewood. It just felt, even though it's not a Strat, it just felt like a proper Strat. Weirdly, the whole relicing thing and the age of it and how it felt and sounded and played, it just felt like an old guitar. So that was great. Ibanez Gem Junior, how about that in at number about 10-ish? I just loved that guitar, didn't I? I can't get on with a Floyd, I can't tune them up and I can't play them. I suppose if I could tune them properly and keep it tuned, I might have kept it. It's a bit confusing to the eye when you're a novice with all that Tree of Life stuff on the fretboard, and it's quite skinny, but I love the sound of the pickups and how it felt. I don't know, just something about it just felt a bit cheesily special. Squire Classic Vibe Chinese model I had, really nice, proper Strat. Then I had a Fender Standard from a few years ago, HH. That was just a nice guitar. I'll put that down the list a little bit because HH isn't for everyone, is it, on a proper Strat. The Chapman Hybrid Standard, the one with the roasted maple neck. I sold my last one, didn't like the colour. I much preferred the colour of the first 5 that I had. Carly Sunset. Nice playing guitar. Just like all Chapman's, really get a lot for your money. Ibanez S771PB, which I put a picture of up recently. Burl top, that skinny. The S series is a lot thinner than the SAs. Skinny, skinny, skinny. HSH, the Infinity pickups, which I don't think Ibanez do anymore. Not sure. Great sounding pickups they are. Lovely playing guitar. Squire Bullet 2011. Early days of my channel, I had one that was vintage white and it was actually aged properly over time. It's an old guitar. Really dark rosewood fretboard, terrible tuners, but that played lovely. I wish I still had that actually. I'd probably upgrade the tuners and kept it. Anyway, I've had a Squire Standard, which I really liked. Quite a thinnish C-shaped neck on that. Lovely coloured one. I had a sort of a red see-through, sort of cherry red sort of look on it. That was nice. And then underneath that I put the Squire Deluxe. The reason I put that one down, I've never really liked the Duncan design pickups. They just don't sound right to me. The necks are chunky though. It feels like a Mexican Strat. Plays like a Mexican Strat, just didn't really like the sound of it. Then I put the Jet JS 300. Didn't give that much credit at the time, but looking back, the one I had was, yeah, you get, I really don't like the headstocks, but you get a decent amount of guitar for your money. And I would say, headstock aside, how it looks and whether you like it or not, it's a bit of a better guitar than the ST62 Harley Bentons. I put the Ibanez AZ ES just below that. Doesn't look anything like a Strat, trying to, a bit like this Sire S3 that I've just sent back. But that played nicely and the pickups were really good. I put the Ibanez SA 360 and 260 together. A bit hard here because apart from some abalone and some bling, they're basically the same guitar and they play very nicely. If you've not had an Ibanez SA and you're into HSS Strat type guitars, they are worth a look, definitely. Then that Sire S3, didn't like the look of the headstock. It felt a bit cheap and plasticky somehow, but no denying it. Good appointments for your money, and it played lovely, and the pickup sounded really good. Jackson JS 22 Dinky, it's a proper super Strat, that isn't it? Pointy headstock, but that neck on those Jacksons, Jacksai, they are lovely. Compound radius, 12 to 16 inch, quite skinny, but they're just really, really nice. Tuners are terrible, pickups sound decent. 2-point trem works pretty well. Ibanez RGA 42 hardtail, proper super Strat, pointy that one, but I love the fact that on those, even though they're HH, you get a 5-way switch, you get really nice different tones out of those, and despite the skinny neck, nice to play. And the Ibanez 521 just behind that, which was the raspberry burst I had, and because that's an S series rather than SA, that was like this thin as well. Then where are we going after that? Harley Benton ST62. So I've been a bit torn really because I had loads of ST62s and they are a good guitar. Not crazy about the neck carves on them for me, tiny bit wide. Yeah, pickups are okay. I don't know, they are still a good guitar and they're still a really good option over a Squire Bullet. I think they're, yeah, tough one that. I've had lots of them, but they're good. Squire Affinity next, and then the more recent Squire Bullets. I've had loads and loads and loads of bullets from over the last few years, so the sort of recent-ish ones. Still, tuners are terrible, but they're generally a decent enough guitar for what they are. The vintage V6 I put just below that, which will shock some people, but I didn't like fretboard, but back of the neck, it was just quite a sharp bit on the top, if you like. It didn't feel that nice, a bit over sticky, and didn't really like sound pickups, but still a lot of people like them and they're a good guitar. G&L Comanche, I didn't give that much time, didn't really like that. The electronics didn't feel too good, the switches were flimsy, didn't like the sound of it. Ibanez SA160 and an Ibanez Geo. The SA160 is a lot different to the 2 and 360s. It just feels a much cheaper guitar, it's not as nice at all. I would avoid. SA260 second hand aren't too much money, well worth a punt. 360s and upwards, but 160s I probably wouldn't. Schecter Omen Extreme 6. That big fat chunky neck, the electronics on the one I had didn't work very well. It was ugly and it was heavy, just didn't like it. Yamaha Pacifica, poor old Yamahas, trusty, stalwart, unless they've changed them now, the sort of almost 14-inch radius, didn't really like that. Really long ugly headstocks, not into those, quite a small nut, bit weird. Pickups on them were okay, but yeah, not for me. And then Kramer Pacer Classic, which I had off Anderton's a little while ago, which was set up badly in sharp frets, so that's horrible. And then the Galari comes in last. 10-minute video, sorry. Big, long, super quick list. I think the moral of the story here is what? If you want an ST style guitar, Fender and Squire do some of the best ones still. Chapman features a fair bit. Great value for money, although not very traditional looking for a Strat, and Ibanez do a lot of S-type guitars that are very good. So yeah, and you can't go wrong with Squire Bullet or Squire Sonic as they are now. You just can't. Anyway, let me know what you think, and any questions, please ask.